Hello kings, queens, and majesties, welcome to WhaleStat. I'm Slice of Otaku, and YAE MIKO has finally made her way to Genshin Impact as a playable character. This is one of the most highly anticipated additions to the roster that the game has ever seen. So of course, like everyone else, I was really excited to try her out, and now that I have, I must say I am pretty surprised. I'm a fan of this character because of her character. I think her design is fantastic, her lore is pretty damn interesting and interconnected, and her personality is very alluring.
What a cruel world this can be.
That being said, to many, on paper she appeared to be just a 5-star official, which is the sort of sentiment I try not to get too invested in, considering it has been said so many times over, and in the cases of some of my favorite and most useful units. They said Kazuha was a 5-star Sucrose, Ito is a 5-star Noelle, and Kokomi is a 5-star Barbara. And I don't think comparisons are inherently a bad thing, especially when approaching things from a free-to-play perspective with the intent to quantify value and necessity, determining on a case-to-case basis if a character is worth it for you. But outright dogpiling on a character on account of kit similarities doesn't really have the best track record. I won't be running comparative numbers or anything like that with this video, simply because I just want to get my initial impressions out there first and foremost, because at the end of the day this is a game, and so fun should be the primary objective. For some of us that may come by way of dealing crazy amounts of damage with the most optimal of builds, and for others it's all about cool looking characters doing cool looking things in cool looking ways. And personally, I'd say that I am an enjoyer of both ends of the spectrum, and YAE MIKO to me is fulfilling in that way. There's just something so special to me about a character that can constantly make use of their elemental skill. It's one of the many reasons why I love Albedo so much. Using Yae's skill feels really productive. It's set up to be a constant presence on the field thanks to its 3 charges, individual 14-second durations, and individual 4-second cooldowns. It's the same logic behind why some people, myself included, prefer noisy keyboards, because when you're really getting into it, it sounds like it and only enhances that experience and feeling. When I think of electro or even just electricity-based powers in general, I inherently consider speed. Swiftly moving is a great thing, and so it is so fun to dodge out of harm's way with her skill. In terms of combat, it's little things like this that can add a layer of depth and interest to the game that I am such a big fan of. For right now at least, because her weekly boss is new to the game, it will be a while before anyone is able to max her talents out, but even at only talent level 6, everything feels pretty damn great. It's not enough for me to feel comfortable using her as a main DPS or anything, but as a sub DPS, she is wonderful. I mean, I've been using a level 70 official for eons now and have been super content with her performance. And on that note, even if YAE and Fischl are similar in their off-field electro damage to an extent, with YAE's elemental burst cost being as expensive as it is at 90, Fischl makes for a pretty incredible battery. Electro tends to see the most use for me by way of my Eula team, and with how well YAE and the Raiden Shogun synergize together, the team feels even stronger now. And I swear my Eula stock has only gone up since entering Inazuma. I don't think YAE is the most necessary character around, but I do think that she is really fun, and unless you have some unrealistic expectations, I doubt anyone who wants her will be disappointed by her performance. And at that, she is not even at her apex just yet. This character does not even have a dedicated artifact set. I have no doubt that she will in due time, but it will probably be months before then. For now, we do have a number of options that ultimately boil down to substats in terms of priority. At the moment, I've mostly been using 2-piece Emblem of Severed Fate with 2-piece Thundering Fury. Her burst is costly, so energy recharge is something I'd like a little boost in, and to bump up her electro damage, Thundering Fury is the way to go, although I don't have the best artifacts in that category because of how much I hate its domain. I really don't suggest anyone farm that domain, as it is a pretty bad use of resin for 1, and 2, her proper domain will come in time. 2-piece Shimenawa and 2-piece Gladiators can work as well. 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate is something I am fascinated by, but with how useful and important her elemental skill happens to be, reducing its power in favor of her elemental burst is a tough call. Maybe if her talent levels were higher, I'd be more inclined, but for now, I'm fine not doing so. But when the time does come, I do have a lot of good rolls with that set in particular that I tend to run on my Raiden Shogun, so I'll probably have her paired with Fischl when I do so. When it comes to Constellations, for now, I don't really feel the need to get any for her. Constellations 1 and 2 seems like really good quality of life changes, but just playing her as is at C0 doesn't really feel lacking in any way. In many cases, it'll feel like a character's kit may have been restricted to simply add a lore to their constellations, but I don't feel that with YAE in the slightest. She is a pretty well put together character. I am more than satisfied with what she can do as is, so the need really isn't there. C1 addresses our energy needs a bit, and C2 makes our elemental skill even better. I really wouldn't go beyond Constellation 3 at most, but we'll see if I pull the trigger on getting any of that at all. Truth be told, whaling does not feel so good right now because I completely and utterly am devoid of luck. I lost the 50-50 pulling for this character and lost the first pull for a weapon too. I have a very strange feeling that my account has been sent to the depths because Hoyoverse, which I'm still not used to saying by the way, knows I will spend whatever it takes to get what I want. Right now, it's less about the money and more about the principle, because Lord knows if they let us toggle constellations on and off, I would get everyone C6 for you guys. But that's enough crazy talk. I've been messing around with a number of team comps that include YAE, and so far, it has been a lot of fun. Some aren't exactly the fastest of best clearers, but for me personally, I have teams strong enough to 3-star speedrun everything, so I'm not really phased. I can definitely see myself using this character a whole lot for sheer enjoyment's sake. Yoimiya, YAE, Fischl, and Bennett are pretty nice for single target fights. I really haven't used Yoimiya much at all since she released, so throwing her in is actually a bit fun, and according to a dream of mine, it seems like we can look forward to an artifact set tailor-made for her, so in the future this one may look even better. Like mentioned before, one of my go-to teams, Eula, Shogun, Fischl, and Zhongli, or Kokomi depending on my other Abyss comp, now has YAE taking Fischl's place. And I like how things are feeling so far. Very expensive team for sure, that is an entirely 5-star team, but it is most definitely an effective one. Past that, Tartaglia, YAE, Fischl, and Kazuha have been really interesting. Child is a very strong character for me, but my artifact luck is not the greatest, so I have yet to get the best Heart of Depth set possible for him, which means sometimes I may not be able to crit, but even still the team gets the job done. Again, I don't think what YAE provides to these teams is especially groundbreaking or all too necessary to have access to, but in no way am I disappointed with what she has been able to do because it has been a lot of fun including her. Now, YAE's Ascension stat is crit rate, which allows for her stats to get pretty ridiculous as far as crits go. Like right now with my 2-piece emblem, 2-piece Thundering Fury, I have excessive crit rate, like I am past the 100% threshold, but it's only by 2%, so it's not the craziest loss ever. But ideally, I would like to optimize a bit more in the artifact department, but again, because she'll eventually have her own artifact set, it is far from being a priority right now. When that set does enter the game, I'll probably grind it and hopefully the odds are in my favor. I know her Ascension 4 passive makes it so that she gains a 0.15% buff to her skill damage, but it's really not worth running an Elemental Mastery Sands on her in the grand scheme of things. That passive is kind of just a nice little bonus as opposed to being the end-all be-all for her. Both my Elemental Mastery being over 100, that is a nice 15% increase to her skill damage, and if you do want to play around with this Elemental Mastery of hers, instead of doing so by way of her Sands, you can do so with another character like Sucrose or something. Overall, I feel pretty good about this character thus far, and hopefully if you have her, you'll feel the same way, and if not, hopefully my experience with her can help inform your decision making in some way. We'll have a proper guide for YAE MIKO up real soon, so if you enjoyed the video and want to see more, be sure to subscribe to Whale Stat with notifications on. I've been your host, Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.
That's Chief Editor to you.